please welcome to the stage member, lovely person, owner of a brilliant salon, David Calicchia from Stunt Dolly. And I've got a list of questions that we're going to go through, and David's very kindly given us some photos that he's going to show you and talk through as we go. So, there's you, there's Dean, and I believe a dog. Yes. So tell me about yourself and Dean. Dean, who is very quiet. Dean, make yourself publicly obvious, okay? But tell us about yourself and
Dean. Dean in the industry for 35 years, me about 10 now, I suppose. Before Stunt Dolly, I worked in another salon. Dean opened his first salon at the age of 20, straight after his apprenticeship, basically, and had a successful business in Australia in Adelaide for 14 years, thereabouts. And myself, mainly, well, amongst other things, but mainly retail management and background. I'd say about 12 or so years ago, we came up with the idea of opening a business together. So, well, let's put our skills together and see what we come up with. Dean, at the time, after his 14 years of owning a business, he freelanced for about 10 years, doing all sorts of things from educating in colleges as an educator, and editorial work, you name it, and freelancing in salons. So he sort of, over 10 years, did a huge amount of thing. And we were living back in Australia at the time, and we thought of a few premises, sort of maybe moving to Melbourne or opening something in Adelaide where we're from. Never sort of came about. We decided we wanted to move back to London, and I started working in a salon in East London as a manager, basically putting my trainer wheels on to learn the business and the industry. And I had a lot
So that was because you knew where the two of you eventually wanted to go?
Yeah, it was a friend's business, and he said, there's a job here for you, which I had started off as a receptionist for 3 months, and then the opportunity came up for management, as I'd already had quite a bit of experience in management, transferable skills, and went from there. And
when you decided to, I said to David, beware, now and again I'll answer questions that he's not prepared for.
That's right.
This is the first one. So when you opened Stunt Dolly, were the two of you married then or not? Or?
No, we weren't married.
Okay.
We've been together 19 years though. We've only been married not quite a year and a half. Yeah.
Okay, so the business hadn't taken its toll yet on the...
Maybe a few years back.
So why Stunt Dolly, and how did the concept of Stunt Dolly come together?
Okay. I'll start with the name. The name Stunt Dolly. The idea of the name, I have to actually give all the credit to Dean on the name, absolutely. So the thinking behind that was a yin and yang approach to opposing words, but come together, something strong, something...
Should we bring up the brand?
Oh, yes, sorry. Oh, there's Dolly.
Oh, there's Dolly.
Dolly, she's matronly. She comes to the salon every day as well. Clients love her. It's actually a wonderful thing, but I go on from there. So this is our logo. This is our neon sign on the high street. That's right, Stunt Dolly. It came about as a yin and yang, sort of two ideas, something quite strong, something a bit softer. The idea also came about once those words, a whole lot of words are being thrown about. In the film industry, both words are very common words. So stunt people, and then there's the dolly. And from there, we started creating an idea and a concept about it. So there was a lot of wordplay, and we went from there. For example, we refer to our team as the crew, which is what we refer to them on the website, and just building from those ideas. At the time, there were a lot of films in the cinema, sort of mid-2000s, the noughties, that had a lot of very strong female women as lead characters in rather sort of stunt roles, I suppose. And it served as part of the whole picture. Okay. And from there, we gave a brief. Well, we spoke to our friends that were designers in Australia, one of Dean's oldest friends, and he got our brief straight away of what we'd asked for, and we said, this is our brief. We want something futuristic as well. We want, there was a macabre and a retro feel which led through to the website. And from there, we had a very strong and powerful image on the high street.
It's a strong logo.
It's a strong logo.
I mean, I've looked at it, as we've been working
Yeah.
on this presentation, I've looked at it quite a bit. I can see the scissors. Is there a significance to the two stars and the...
They're the okay. They're actually two crosses, and they're eyes.
Yeah.
And so what happens is they start in the cross position, which is also, we take it as positive, and the scissors are open, and then they'll flash on to a cross, and the scissors close. So a bit sort of inspired from the Barbara of Fleet Street.
Yeah.
And the other inspiration came from the movie Tron as well. So there was a lot of futuristic and retro ideas going in all at once.
It's funny, when we talk about branding and how you create a brand, it's fascinating when you've got someone that's creating a brand to understand the thinking behind the brand, which I think is fascinating.
We put a lot of thought into branding ourselves, and the brief came back perfect.
So we've got some images in the salon and the spaces within the salon.
Yep.
Maybe you'd like to flick through those, tell us about the spaces and how you use them and how they came about.
Sure.
And the feel.
So this is the ground level, the street level. This is where we do most of our work at the moment. So there's 7 chairs upstairs, and right at the back there's the basin area as well. We tend to do all our cutting and colouring upstairs, and then downstairs we also have a lower ground, and it actually goes out into a courtyard, which also leads up to a garden terrace, which is all our property. So we've got a rather large property. So the idea was, Dean always said, look, I want a property, I want a business that we can grow into, rather than finding that we have 5 to 7 chairs and then filling them and then we're stuck. And then we have to sort of think about opening another business soon after, and we didn't want to do that or just yet. So downstairs we tend to spill over, we tend to use it a lot for colour processing. So once this is the downstairs.
But we can see there's daylight beyond. So
Yes. So
there's obviously an outside downstairs.
Yeah, so that's just the basin area. And it leads out to a little courtyard and then upstairs back onto a sort of a mid-level garden terrace, which is quite a large terrace, as you can see. So, which is wonderful for many things we've done, events. Clients just love it in summer, especially just colour processing. So we tend to use the downstairs as the colour processing in between, so when we're servicing the next client upstairs. We also, so downstairs, how we've utilised it over the years, obviously the first few years we weren't busy enough to fill another 5 chairs downstairs, which we've expanded to 8 chairs downstairs for education purposes. So the first few years we had a lot of creatives use it, fashion designers, and had several pop-up fashion, there we go, there's a sample sale. So young fashion designers that couldn't actually afford rents in parts of London, and we just donated for a non-profit thing to them. It really brought awareness to our brand. We had hundreds of new people walking through the business that would never have found us otherwise, and especially in the first few years. And all the brands that we worked with, and this is before we went to where we are now, it was sort of the lead-on area. They're all brands that work in an ethical manner, for whether it's their fabrics or whatever they're choosing to do as well. So we had probably about 4 to 5, maybe 6 sample sales, something like that, downstairs, amongst other things. But now, as a source of income, we've been hiring it out as a studio space for education in the hair industry. So we've had Kevin Murphy, Oway, Evo, all use it for education. Kevin Murphy in particular on a regular basis. Evo, have hired the basement, but also lower ground, the downstairs, as well as the whole salon a couple of times for preparation for the Salon International shows. And also our landlady, who it was her business for 28 years. It was an Afro-Caribbean salon. And we took it over about a year after she decided to retire from having her own business. And she works for a couple of companies and does a bit of education. And she's hired out many times to just use it for model preparation for shows as well.
Okay, I'll just put you off slightly because not everyone in the room is from London.
Yep.
So if you could just explain where you are in London in terms of north, south, east, west sort of thing.
Okay.
Because you said Salon International.
Yep.
So people know, not everyone knows where that is.
Okay.
So because it's important, I think, when we start looking at the space that David's got, the windows that David's got, to understand the type of location that he's in and why what he does maybe works. So just explain me where you are in London.
Okay. Officially, we're in East London. We're literally on the border of East and North London. So we're fairly central. We're only just in on Zone 2. Dalston is... It's still a very creative area, but in particular when we moved into the area, everybody was moving out of the sort of closer city areas like Shoreditch, looking for cheaper areas. So that obviously drives a lot of the creatives, and that's designers, set designers, fashion designers, artists, musicians, everything, which still remain quite a big part of our clientele as well. Salon International is now at the Excel Centre, which is in the east as well. So... yeah.
So it makes sense for people. Okay. So we said about the location, where David sits in London, and I said earlier on about the window space. Do you want to cover that?
I'll just cover this as well. So, and one of the other, we've had a few events. One of the other events is we worked with a woman who works in the fashion and beauty industry, but for eco and sustainable fashion. And she actually writes our monthly newsletter and has done for about 2 years as well. And she also... we held an event there for her as well, again, promoting the salon, their business, opening up our business to people that wouldn't have necessarily seen our business as well. So,
great.
yeah.
So,
okay.
Let's think about windows, shop windows. Shop windows, as you all know, are the prime real estate within your property. If you look at the Zone A values of how your Zone B, Zone C, the values in your shop, that square footage behind your window is the most valuable place in the salon, and yet most salons don't make the maximum benefit out of it. You probably would have noticed earlier on that David, in one of the first 2 photos, David doesn't sit his guests when they're waiting in the window there at the back of the salon.
They're in the middle.
Waiting there, it's away from that prime retail area. So we've got some images of some of the stuff you've done in your window, which it's probably fair to say isn't standard hairdressing windows.
No.
So I'd like you to explain, the sort of window space you've got, how you use it, why you've decided to do this, what they all mean.
Okay.
I think it's because I've always said windows are about people getting, looking in.
Yep.
And I've told you many times before about the shop that had a motorcycle in their window. And it was a central heating shop, because who wants to look at central heating? But the motorcycle just got people looking in. I'm kind of thinking, would that stop me and looking in? Absolutely it would. So let's have the thinking behind it, Dave.
So being retail was a big part of my background. A lot of retail management involved. I had to do a lot of visual merchandising within, because I worked mainly for small businesses. So that was the onus was on myself as a manager or a team member to create windows as well, whatever area I was working in at the time. Dean's creative sculptural element of being a hairdresser, the two things fit. It was always going to be something that we wanted in the window. It was part of our business plan at the beginning as well, that we would ask local artists to do something in the window for it. And at the time, as I said, Dalston was definitely a really creative space, or a neighbourhood, I should say. And just even through our clientele, through different people walking through, team members, their friends, along came people pitching the idea, so I'd like to do something like this. And we actually ended up having a bit of a criteria. We actually asked them to come in and pitch it to us in a meeting it had to, we wanted it to relate mostly to hair. Sometimes it didn't. It just ended up being a great piece of sculpture. Some of it was done by one of the team as well. Wasn't always an outsider, which was always good. So that was the one on. Is that on the left? Yes, on the left. On the one on the left. That was a Halloween window. That was a bike shop across the road. All used bike tube tyres, wrapped up a mannequin, sort of an Edward Scissorhands inspired, and creating a wig for it. So that whole idea through there. The other one, I think that was just an inspiration, a moment of inspiration from something.
I thought you were going to say that was one of Dean's sculptures.
It is actually one of Dean's sculptures. That is one of Dean's.
Dean, do you want to explain the thinking behind it? Yeah.
Basically, it was just we were picking stuff off the street, because of the ethical nature of our business.
Yeah.
So it was always about using things that we'd found and recreating, and trying to get the team involved. Yeah. So that was basically about what all that was about at that given time.
Super, thank you.
Yeah.
We had to get him to speak something.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was great for building teamwork.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is he's a set and production designer working all around the world with different large companies, etc. Yeah, sorry.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is so striking,
It's
isn't it?
really striking, very striking. He created this specifically for our window as well. It wasn't something, it was bounced off an idea he'd already sort of worked on, and then created this specifically for our window.
So what happened to it afterwards?
He took it back.
Did he?
Yeah, and I think he developed the idea
Yeah.
and moved on and had other exhibitions with this and more. So,
But if you were
yeah.
walking past, you would stop and look in that window, wouldn't you? Well, I would, wouldn't you? Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
And this one was just called Head Case. That's another Dean's creations, that one, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't comment on that one then.
Just
It's,
again, more
fascinating,
things we
yeah.
had lying around. Old
Yeah.
suitcase, some mannequin heads.
So
yeah.
I'm kind of looking at the photo there.
Yeah.
So was that vertical, Dean, or was it horizontal? It's hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you walk past I think the bottom of the suitcase may have been about head level, and everybody had to look up.
Oh, right.
So it sort of brought a different angle to
Yeah.
it. It was, it brought a lot of attention. Again, that was the whole idea was to we didn't have hair written on our window. We only had Stunt Dolly. So to get people's attention, we needed people to peer through the window.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what they were doing when they saw it. One of our proud moments too was the famous artist couple, George and Gilbert and George, I should say. They were regulars to Dalston, and they'd always stop to look at our windows, which was quite a nice, whether they liked it or not, what they thought of it, I don't know, but they always stopped to look at our windows, which is two of this country's most famous artists. So that was
It's a compliment.
That was a great compliment. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Definitely.
and this was for Movember. We had just a whole lot of knickknacks of different things, and created a window, sort of an Inspector Clouseau sort
That's
of.
a pretty cool Movember. Isn't it?
Yeah. So sort of an Inspector Clouseau sort of idea on it. So.
Good. We got any more windows?
Sorry? No, that's it. We're
Okay.
going- yeah.
Okay, now we're going on to the imagery that I know imagery is important to you, but as you said to me, and David sent me some pictures, and he put them together in an order because the way they've done their pictures has evolved over time.
Yeah.
So maybe you'd like to talk through the photos and the evolution of the process and what you've done with the photos.
So right from the beginning, we've always done our own in-house photo shoots, mainly for team building, but also to be used on our social media. They were the main two things that we chose to do them. So this was very, very much right at the beginning. The ideas that came from this was to obviously be a bit more edgy at the beginning as well, to create a bit more attention to what we were doing. And again, it was where Dalston was at as well. These are the kind of people, these are the kind of creators that are coming through the business. Through different clientele, we meet photographers and makeup artists, and everybody just lent their time for nothing. They just wanted to be part of a project, to do some work, and they'd get an image out of it for their portfolios. So it was a win-win situation for everybody. So from there, we've done probably about 5 or 6 photo shoots over the last 5 or 6 years, all in-house, all within the garden and in the salon. Just take a lot of time. They take up to 3 months to organise, but every time we're working with different photographers and different makeup artists as well. So this is another one. She, a good friend of one of our stylists at the time, and just it went from, at the time, we were just doing something a bit more simple rather than doing something too out there.
Yeah, because that's the one out of all the images doesn't fit with the rest of the images because, as you said, it's very simple. Very simple,
but it was striking and it worked.
Yeah.
So we went with it. Went with that whole shoot. Yeah, that was interesting because the photographer we used was a still life photographer, so he didn't quite capture a lot of the brief, but yeah. And this is kind of our latest, the last year and a half or so, is sort of where we've moved on to more natural looking hair and backdrops, etc. So, reading through, also showing diversity in what we're doing as well, that anybody can come into our salon, and we're an inclusive salon, so which I'll talk about more a bit later.
And I love the fact that David's actually got an image that shows how these were done, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, they were literally fabrics.
Flick back again.
Yeah.
Would you imagine that was done like that?
In our garden at work, so the garden you saw earlier. Yeah, on a 4-degree day. Yeah. That was 4 degrees that day, so could well imagine.
It's got that nice, cool, crisp daylight.
Yeah, absolutely. I've forgotten what I was going to say about it, but right down. I mean, we pulled in favours from everywhere, right down to the fabric. One of our regulars, he was a manager of a company called House of Hackney, which do wonderful fabrics and wallpapers. And he said, "I've got a whole lot of samples you can use. Here you go, take them. Perfect. Go from there." So we, just opened our mouths, just talked. A lot of that. Dean's got a great gift of the gab. So he's always finding, he's in the front line, he's the hairdresser, I'm not. So, he's always able to find out about what the guests do, I don't. So, and often we move from there. Dean sort of instigates it, and then we work together to go from there, along with the team, of course. So I think this kind of leads on to the next thing. Yeah.
You've been involved with lots of interesting projects, exciting projects over time. Mm-hmm. Explain some of those to us and what they were about and why you got involved as well.
Sure. The very first one was this one here, the V&A, one of the most famous museums in the world. If you haven't heard of it, it's in London, Victoria and Albert. And we'd been open just 9 months, and we got a random call saying, "Hello, this is so-and-so from the V&A. We're doing this, which is the Dalston takeover, and we're asking creatives from Dalston to take over and do pop-ups for an event that we stay open till 10 o'clock at night on Friday nights at the V&A." Of course, I naturally thought it was a prank. That's just ridiculous. Why would the V&A be calling us? And next thing you know, I said, "Oh, here's my email details. Please send me all the information." It was the V&A. So from there, I believe our windows were a big part in this. They'd seen our windows. They saw this creative aspect of what we were doing, and it moved from there. So this Dalston Late ended up being their biggest late night open event, with over 5,000 people attending. And I think 20 to 30 different creative businesses from around Dalston were involved for pop-ups. So it was a major event. It was fantastic. It was really exciting to be involved with that and raise our profile in 9 months.
And as it says there, the word that communities,
it was a community event,
wasn't it, which is really important.
Yeah. And we still have a couple of clients from other businesses that had pop-ups that still are clients within business or guests within our business, which is absolutely lovely. So, this is one of our birthday parties, our second birthday parties. We We went right through to, one of our clients was the family from Jameson Whiskey. Their son and brother was the CEO, managed to get sponsorship, so we had sponsorship from them to put on a party. Friends DJ'd, we had several different friends that are in the performing arts, we had performance artists, so we created a huge vibe and invited our guests to come along and go from there, basically. So
Looks like a fun night.
yeah, it was a big event. It was interesting. Everything from mime to spoken word to obviously a drag, which was...
It's interesting, we showed Lush earlier, because you got involved with Lush once, didn't you?
Yes, that's coming up, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So then another one was Dalston Screen Test. We worked, and this is one of the images from it, we had a two-part exhibition with Dalston Superstore, which is a wonderful LGBT queer space nightclub, restaurant, or bar, I should say, in just up the road from us. We worked with them in doing a two-part exhibition. So we had our front windows where we had TV screens, and it was all based on the Andy Warhol idea of the 15 minutes of fame, and how Dalston at the time with its creatives was not dissimilar to New York in the 60s, that sort of idea, and that's where it came from the curators there, Ryan and Saskia. And we worked on it in filming this, and they were on the repeat on the screens in our window, and then we had the opening night, we had a procession, so we had the opening party at our salon, procession up the street, and then the closing party at the Dalston Superstore. And the 7 subjects, as Andy Warhol would have called them, some were guests of our salon, she was a guest of our salon, were then one image was turned into a screen print of each of the people. So there were 7, and they were all displayed within Dalston Superstore. So that was one other event that we took part with. This MindBody was, before we used Salon IQ, we worked with MindBody, the software system. They chose us as their salon for their advertising, for everything, for a couple of years, which was quite an honour to do that as well. So they interviewed us, and all their promo videos featured us, and us being interviewed as well. So this is one of their promo shots. Okay. And Lush, which I haven't got a photo. We were approached by Lush last September to do a pop-up on Father's Day it was, and to just recreate a mini salon in there. They like working with a lot of charities and smaller brands that meet their ethos and what they're about, and they came across us, and I think we were the second salon they'd worked with, and that was a great success. That was really good. It was, and again, another huge team building event that we took part in, and from there, again, promoted us. It really was, it was about exposure. But we worked with them because of their ethos as well. It wasn't just purely, oh, let's just go and do it. We believed in what they do as well, and their whole stance on
okay, so we've seen so far, we've seen the salon, and we've seen how you get involved with communities, and we tend to think of, when we talk about communities, people around us. But what I know that is, there are communities, not physical communities that you're involved with locally.
Yep.
There's your whole ethos,
yes,
your whole beliefs, your philosophies, and what I'd like, because we haven't touched that at all yet.
No, we haven't touched it. So this is where we're coming to.
And we really now need to know what makes these two guys really tick, because I believe that is what, apart from the wonderful things that they're doing, which I think sets them apart anyway, the whole headspace that these guys are in also sets them apart, and also gives you a profile in certain communities.
Absolutely, yes.
So I'd love you now to get to the nitty-gritty, tell us about that, and as you told me some stories about how your beliefs and values have then opened up other doors for you. Because at the end of the day, this is how your business kind of finds its place in the world, doesn't
Absolutely,
it? So
yes.
let's get into that,
Okay.
David.
So I'm more on the branding later, but this is pretty much our ethos right here. So we are Stunt Dolly, ethical hair, your ever-friendly East London hair salon situated in the heart of Dalston. We deliver style and stubbornness without compromising your well-being. Consideration for the planet and its animals drives every decision we make. So our main thing is ethical, organic, vegan, cruelty-free hair and gender neutral. These are our beliefs. It came about probably 3 to 4 years ago. So we're in our 7th year. So 3 to 4 years ago, we really started looking at where we were in the marketplace and what we were doing as a business and the brands we were working with at the time. And we had pretty much a sort of 60-40, maybe 70-30 mix of brands that were of an ethical nature, or an organic or vegan, and cruelty-free for that matter. But we decided that at that point that we wanted to take our beliefs and have our integrity of who we are as people and put it into the business. We didn't want to, I suppose, muck around anymore. This is who we are. This is what we want to do, and if we are going to move forward in business, we need to be really true to ourselves. We started at the beginning in the way we did, but there weren't as many options, even 7-8 years ago when we started putting the salon together, of products, and also the mindset of the world at the time was very different to what we have in the last couple of years. So, say 3 to 4 years ago, we decided that's it. We had nails in the salon, we had even hair extensions. We decided to cut all of that and move to what we are and what we do and how we actually live our lives on a daily basis. It was up to Dean, I suppose, to investigate all the... oh, here he is.
He's gone.
He's gone.
We're talking about you, Dean.
It was up to him to start really investigating which products we were going to use and go from there. I took the other side and we take it from not just the hair products we use, we take it right down to our teas, coffees, cleaning products, right down to the paint we use on the walls, everything. So
I was going to say, I mean, people, they're aware of product companies that don't test on animals, product companies that are vegan. But it's those other things, isn't it? I mean, you know, like you said, the paint you use, there must be things that people never think of. And that would be interesting to... That was lovely when you said that. I don't know the paint you use.
So we have painted with low VOC paints, which is low volatile organic compounds, or compounds, I think that's what it is, yeah. Basically, the smell... There's no intense smell as paint. Paint smells can last for weeks and weeks, and we're constantly breathing them in weeks and weeks after, which as hairdressers, everybody's already breathing in enough as it is. This being low VOC, they are reduced and the smell dissipates within a few days to a week, and you're not left with that lingering smell. And our floorboards as well, we use low VOC sealants on that as well. Right down, like I said, teas and coffees. We tried to find ethical brands that were as ethical as possible. We have strict recycling in the business. We use a combination of towels and eco towels, so compostable towels as well, which are 100% bamboo as well, which are the fastest growing plants in the world. So again, most sustainable plants there. So we do our best to try and, I mean, we're by no means perfect at all. We're always forever learning and things are forever evolving, but we're doing our best to do what we can. I mean, we're in central London. We haven't got a wind turbine on our ceiling. So all, you know, it's not our building. We don't have, I've forgotten what they're called. Solar panels. Thank you very much. We don't have them on our building. So,
but there are energy suppliers you can go,
Exactly, but there's energy suppliers which we are constantly working towards, right down to Dean's just started researching mannequin heads. How do we find mannequin heads that the apprentices all practice on and can we find them as an ethical, on an ethical, which he's found, and that comes right down to the practices they have in their company as well. It's not easy to trace it all the way back. It is really hard, and often you stop, you get it to a point and like, well, I can't trace it any further back than that. So we do our best to do what we can on that level as well.
Are there any areas at the moment that you think, are there any things, or Dean, can you think of anything at the moment you're going, I really wish I could find a solution to this, but I can't find an ethical supply for anything that you're currently using the salon?
It's just little things like instead of using cotton wool to space our balayages, I bought a whole big bag of second-hand rollers, and we use rollers, like old set rollers. So we don't use cotton wool. You see how much cotton wool is used in one balayage, and it's scary. So just rethinking practices. Paper not foil is another thing. We've just so we're not using foil.
Graham, can you get a mic?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll say sorry to drag you. I'm not actually sorry to drag you at all.
We're constantly
I think
asking.
this is interesting.
We're constantly asking the team as well to, and that comes down to recruiting the right kind of people in the right mindset. So how they go about their practices within the salon. So we're continuously jamming out ideas on how to become as eco as we can.
Yeah. Hacking away,
Yeah.
as Danielle would say. So when you do this,
Please.
when you do this, Dean, when you're doing these things, so the first time you do that with someone, you do a balayage with rollers in between, so they've got more. Do the clients get that? Do you explain that to them? Do they understand that, why you're doing that?
Yeah. So obviously it's a bit like, talking about products, blah, blah, blah. We're educating our clients and how we are just trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
And it gives, the stylist something to talk about rather than talking about stuff they shouldn't really talk about sometimes.
Yes. Information, not gossip.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. Love it.
Exactly.
Because that people, anything you do has got to add to your business.
Mm-hmm.
And you find that's adding to your business, isn't it? It's giving you that USP in the marketplace, isn't it?
Well, yeah, as I said, for us, I think the biggest thing that we had to change was in our recruiting is ensuring that you're getting the right kind of people who value this, have the same values and want to work with people who are doing that kind of thing. There's no use having someone coming in and eating, McDonald's when in the lunchroom. If someone walked in and ate McDonald's in our place, we'd probably all die. Shock. And recycling, and our WhatsApp's always about, we've kind of got a bit name and shame as well if someone doesn't wash something and put it in the recycling bin. But I think it's important that we be like that every day.
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. So we said about how this has become involved with, we talked about communities.
Yep.
And you shared some stories with me about how that's led to you being approached and involved with communities, other communities.
Absolutely.
Vegan communities.
Through the vegan community and having a gender neutral price list has definitely opened it up to those communities. So the gender neutral, it's really opened it up to the LGBT community. Because we don't have gender attached to our price list, we actually created 5 different haircuts, and you'd sit within one of those, whether it was just a back and sides, a back and sides and top, something a bit more technical and short, which takes a bit longer. So it's factored on time as well as texture, style of the hair as well. So it was quite a lot of factors involved, to long hair, short to long, sort of bob down to a certain length, and then extra long, thick, or a restyle. So there were 5 different haircuts. So anybody could walk in and say, I want a short haircut. Why am I getting charged for something that's going to take me an hour? Half hour rather than an hour.
Yeah.
And we turned that around just over 2 years ago, and we've had a wonderful response.
So
Everybody loved
the
it,
response from the guests has been positive.
Very positive. There are a few salons that were doing a gender-neutral price list, but they didn't. I would say they wouldn't take it as far as we did. They had one price,
Yeah.
so that really didn't. If it was short or long, that didn't work for us. The whole idea was to be fair in what we were doing, and naturally, like I said, that did bring in a lot of the inclusiveness that we have there, people, and that's also the team members that we've now employed as well, that they've come to us because of these values. The vegan, one of our really good friends is, she would be probably London's most well-known vegan influencer. Is that correct? Yeah, influencer. And through the right hashtags and Instagram, we have managed to build a community of people coming in. And that extends further. Often the ethical and the vegan and cruelty-free and organic leads to other holistic sort of things, and yoga, and a lot of yoga people, and just people that want something, a little bit different as well. On top of that, we were voted by Time Out a few years back as being the friendliest salon in East London, which was wonderful. So all of that and all our reviews online feature, the number one thing they feature is how friendly we are, and that we're always greeted with a smile.
Friendly in many different ways.
In many different ways.
Yeah.
All of these ways, yeah.
Yeah, all those ways.
Yeah. And on top of that, as you'll see there, under that, community supporting, but education focused. We are really strong on the education from 5-Step, which we try and review at least every couple of months, or when there's a new team member on board, right through to, we have regular training sessions. Tomorrow we've got our managers taking advanced balayage and that sort of thing. So we do regular training for 2 or 3 hours, but Dean takes training every single Tuesday for 3 hours as well, with mainly the junior staff or anybody that would like something refreshed as well. So.
Okay, so it was interesting. You said you adopted 5-Step. You've taken that into the salon, and you and I have known each other probably coming up for 2 years now.
Yep.
And you came to 365. It was interesting. So how has 365 helped, impacted, supported, whatever? Why 365?
At that point, when I think I came to I can't remember what it's called, but in Birmingham, I came to something in Birmingham. I can't remember what the name of the course was.
Salon Management Masterclass.
Yeah, the Masterclass, that's right. And it was at that point, Dean and I were talking a lot and saying, I haven't run out of ideas, but I need some help. And said, I need some help too, he said. So we really need to move business forward. We've got lots of ideas, we know what to do, but we don't know how to implement a lot of things. And said, let's give this a go. And that was the best money I'd spent at that point, absolutely.
So it's helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's helped from team motivation, right? I mean, by no means have I accomplished everything that I have learnt, and I'm about to do BB8. I haven't completed everything, but there's lots of things we've managed to do. I mean, we haven't implemented all of it yet, but we've managed to put down about 15 pages of minimum performance standards, and we'll start working on that more. All the templates, I'm getting some done, a lot I'm not, but I'm working through them when I can. So I think also 365 just coming to the BB courses and having that support on a regular basis. We get back, and it's mentioned every time we go to a BB course, that you get back and you actually feel invigorated and go, yes, okay.
Well, I notice whenever you're there, you are a proactive networker. You're always talking to people, and you're always talking openly to people. So you're asking questions and answering questions, which I think is the great way to work with people. And I always think, I always found that one of the great benefits of being a 365 member is all the wonderful people you can, you look around the room and you could have a conversation and learn something from everybody in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's really important. Some people don't take advantage of that, and yet the people that do, I think, get a tremendous amount out of it. what we can learn from each other.
Absolutely. The coaches are always writing down notes from us,
Yeah.
but we're taking. It's
We
wonderful.
often say one of the best things. Jen's giving a smile there. We always get stuff out when we're coaching. We always go,
Yeah.
I'm just going to write that down and take that away because we're learning from you guys as well. It's lovely, and I've always loved that openness in 365, which when you go to any other organisation you don't get. It's as if egos, the majority, 99% of egos disappear when they come into a 365. They just share, and I love that. Okay, we just hit 0, but so we're okay.
Okay. So, I suppose, are we on?
No, use that. How many slides have we got?
I've got 2 more. I
That's
think
fine.
they kind
You
of go
talk
with the
through
last.
those slides.
They'll go through the last
It's
question, really. Yeah.
So what now? What's the future for Stunt Dolly?
So we are just, it's been 2 years in the making because of difficulties with previous designers, but we have just started a refresh of our brand. Our new website's about to launch, and just to revamp everything from where it was. We had designers sort of in the middle that just didn't get who we were and what we were about. We went back to our original designers back in Australia, and they just get us. They're mates. They understand what we're about, and they came back to us. So this is just our Instagram, and we're rolling the whole rebrand out through everything we're doing, from website to Instagram to just about business cards, you name it. All these images are ours. We don't use any stock, and we have logos. We've had iconology. As you can see in the red at the top, the red dots, and in the squares, we've had our designers designed our own iconology as images for different things. So there's a rabbit in the middle, the equal sign with looks like a world is a fair trade. Green chemistry, low chemical, and there's a couple others. What else have we got? Little plant symbolising vegan and plants. So there's quite a few, and as you can see, there's team members there from World Women's International Day. We celebrated that. So bits and pieces, some from our photo shoots, some from our team members' photo shoots that they've done, in-house photos, bit of everything. We sort of have a plan of how it evolves over time. So we don't post anything consecutively. So there is a plan going through there. And right through to, we even had new press packs to relaunch what we're doing with our background stories, right through to testimonials, and of course our ethos. So
I know that's quite hard to read for you guys. I'm sure if any of you wanted to read that, David would let us share that with you if you'd like to
absolutely.
read that. I would, and I can't read that.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
So other than that, that's the main thing that we've got going on. But there's growing the team.
Yeah.
Growing the team, receptionists.
How big's the team now?
At the moment, including Dean, there's 5 full-time stylists. One's just a colourist, and she's only just started with us 2 months ago. And another young stylist, she is a hairdresser and barber, but not a colourist. But they've both had backgrounds in the other. Dean's already started educating them both in getting their skills up in the cutting or the colouring side. And she's just started. She started off as a pure freelance for a couple of months, 6 weeks, I'd say, and she's just accepted a permanent part-time 3 days a week with us.
Okay, so the guys are all employed with you?
Batu at the moment, Batu, but our manager is about to hopefully sign on the dotted line. She's going to be our official manager, and she's been with us nearly 3 years.
Super.
And yeah, so
a
Emma will
bright,
be as well.
exciting future, David.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dean, bright, exciting future. Thank you for allowing us to share this, Dean. Thank you, David, for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Your passion, and for sharing those photos.
Thank you very
Please give David a round of applause.